I've called Louise Upston.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Education and asks, what recent announcements has she made about national standards?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, today I have announced the appointment of a National Standards Independent Advisory Group. The group is comprised of 5 respected figures that have an outstanding mix of education and public policy experience. I'm looking forward to receiving their ongoing, independent, free and frank advice on the implementation of the standards and on any refinements that can be made to enhance their effectiveness.
Supplementary question to the Minister. Who are the members of the National Standards Independent Advisory Group?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, the group will be chaired by Professor Emeritus Gary Hawke, a very well-known expert in the field of public policy. It has a strong core of education sector academic experience from New Zealand, with the inclusion of Professors Tom Nicholson and John Hattie and Tony Trinick. Finally, Dr Avis Glaze is a well-respected Canadian educator who's played a pivotal role in education reform in a number of countries and will bring a useful outside view to the group.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Does the Minister understand the difference between a ministerial committee and an independent committee, and if so, what is it?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, I have set up this group asking them to give me their independent, free and frank advice on the implementation of the national standards.
Supplementary question.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Does she still claim to fully understand the national standards system, and in particular, does she fully understand inter-school moderation of her literacy standards?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Yes.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
What is her best estimate of the cost of her inter-school moderation of literacy standards?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, I well understand that that is a concern that has been expressed by people such as Professor Hattie. I have no estimate on the cost of inter-school moderation. The actual difficulty that New Zealand has, and the reason for our national standards policy, is supported by the PISA data that shows that the greatest variation in student achievement in New Zealand schools is within schools, not between schools.
Supplementary question.
Trevor Mallard.
In light of her reply to my second to last supplementary, how does the inter-school moderation of her literacy standards work?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
I'm sorry, I can't. Could you repeat the question?
Order. I think it was perfectly fair. The Minister didn't hear the question. I asked the Honourable Trevor Mallard to repeat it.
Mr. Speaker, in light of her answer to my second to last supplementary, how does her system of inter-school moderation of her literacy standards work?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, it's not my method of inter-school moderation that actually is at stake here. What we have put in place to examine the implementation and monitor the implementation of the national standards over the next several years, carried out by the Ministry of Education, is a contract that will evaluate and monitor the implementation, including between school differences, if there are any, and also ERO will have direct responsibility for examining the basis on which teachers are making their judgments. Now, the opposition can't have it both ways. On the one hand, they argue that if we use assessment, we will run the risk of teachers teaching to the test. The minute we allow teachers to use their judgment and their relationship with the student, then the member opposite starts worrying about inter-school moderation. We want professional judgments from professional teachers about the progress that students are making against the standards. This government is determined to address the 1 in 5 students that government, previous government, left to fail in our education system.
Supplementary question.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Can the Minister now explain to the House how inter-school moderation of literacy standards will work?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr Speaker, point of order. Can I take you back to the primary question?
Point of order,
I have actually engaged and tried to answer the member, but the actual primary question is about announcements that recent announcements I've made. I've made no recent announcements on inter-school moderation.
Speak to the point of order, Mr Speaker.
I'm not sure I need the member's assistance. Order, I'm on my feet. The dilemma I have is the Minister was asked a question, if I recollect correctly, does she understand how moderation of national standards will work? And the Minister, if I recollect correctly, this was about 3 questions ago, said yes. The Honourable Trevor Mallard, therefore, under our standing orders, is entitled to question further about that answer. And that's what he's done. He's asked for an explanation of how they will work. And my dilemma is the Minister's question, therefore, is absolutely in order. The Honourable Cherry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, and notwithstanding the fact that the Minister of Education is dealing with these questions very factually and in a very direct manner, I think it is worth noting that while standing orders do control the way in which the House operates, they are moderated by Speaker's rulings. If I take you, sir, to Speaker's ruling 162, the ruling is supplementary questions must arise directly from the Minister's reply. They must relate to it, not indirectly but directly. Now that, of course, relates to the primary question, which was, as the Minister quite rightly points out, about the announcement of the Ministerial Committee to give her free and frank advice on the implementation of these standards. To start running down the track about how are we doing inter-school moderation? That's the sort of thing you might get at a select committee, quite appropriately. It's fascinating that the Minister, the member over there, needs to ask those sort of questions, but nonetheless, they do not really comply with the direction that's here from Speaker Elgie, Mr Speaker.
I'll hear the Honourable Trevor.
And I probably don't need to tell you this because you're absolutely aware of the fact that the replies referred to are replies not only to the primary question but to supplementaries.
Well, order. My dilemma is that the standing order and that particular Speaker's ruling, Honourable Cherry Brownlee has referred to, is quite clear that supplementaries that relate to answers given are perfectly in order. And in fact, if one goes to the standing order, I think it's 378, I beg your pardon, around supplementary questions. Questions can be asked about either further questions can be asked about either the primary question or the answers given. And my dilemma is that the member, the Honourable Trevor Mallard, asked a very specific question about the Minister's understanding of moderation system, to which the Minister said yes, and now the member is pursuing that answer further. And I'd like the Minister to see if she could answer that further question, because it is absolutely in order, and I'd feel that I was not doing my duty if I didn't ask the Minister to answer it. I appreciate that. The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr Speaker, I'm perfectly happy to answer. I just really want to point out we're heading off down a different track. Can I say... Can I say to the member, is concerned about inter-school moderation? Well, actually, the national standards, at its heart, is to address inter-school moderation. Currently, there are a large number of assessment tools used by schools, and there is no one standard that applies across them. That is what national standards are. So the existing assessment tools remain in place, and the national standards go right across all those tools, so that it doesn't matter what school you go to or what assessment tool your particular school uses, there is a standard that is national. And that's the essence of national standards. So the inter-school moderation is exactly that. Parents know whatever school whatever school their child's attend, well, it just shows that you don't understand.
Order.
It just shows that you don't understand what national standards are.
Order. The Speaker's on his feet, and as a former Minister of Education, the Speaker might understand. The Minister shouldn't be saying you don't understand. But I think we've heard sufficient answer.
I should have said the opposition who continue to put misinformation